Jeez, oh man, that tough morning, not gonna lie. Just learned that the guy that invented Velcro died, man.
Ah, did he?
Yeah, rip, man. Anyways, wow, it feels good to be back. I heard that there was a big, fat, old imposter in this chair.
New employee, actually, so you should probably watch how you speak about him. Yes, anyway, today we have the unsolved murders of Hinterkaifeck Farm.
It's up here on screen now. You'll understand why we just. Where do you start with it? Hinterkaifeck.
I'm going
with Hinterkaifeck.
It's German, and my German's not quite polished.
No, not yet. We've seen your feedback, and there's people out there that want some unsolved murders, some recent ones. So we're just testing a few out, and let us know which you guys prefer the most.
Yes.
Let's get into this one, Chip. Talk to me.
Now let me take you back to 1922, March 31st, Bavaria, Germany. It was a bleak day because a family of 5 and the maid were brutally murdered.
Now, before we get into how these murders happened, we have to go back 6 months earlier because the family maid that was working for them 6 months prior actually ended up leaving. And the reason that they gave for leaving that particular job was because of the strange sounds in the attic. The whole house just gave the maid haunted feelings, bad vibes, bad energies. So they said, you know what? I'm not working here anymore. Fair enough.
In the days leading up to the murder, strange things started to occur. The grandfather told the neighbors he had found a newspaper on his property which didn't belong to him nor any of the neighbors, as no one was subscribed to it in the village. He also found a broken door lock in the farm's machine room and footsteps leading out of the woods. One of the 2 family house keys disappeared, and he also heard footsteps in the attic, but when he went up to see if anyone was there, he didn't find anyone. He never reported this to the police. He only told his friends and family of these occurrences.
I'll be perfectly honest with you, Chip. This sounds like a classic haunted house case. I am not vibing with this place whatsoever.
Yeah, I know how this story goes.
On March 31st, 1922, the new family maid Maria arrived at the farm. The theory seems to be that in the late evening, Victoria, the mother of the 2 children that were killed, and her parents were lured to the barn where they were murdered by blows to the head, one at a time. The murderer used a mattock, which is really similar to a pickaxe. It's believed that the murderer then moves on to the house where he kills 2-year-old son, Joseph, and then the maid, Maria Baumgartner. Now, although he had just gone and killed the entire family, he had also gone and fed the animals and the family dog. It's a bit weird. Smoke had also been seen coming from the chimney days after this murder had happened, suggesting that maybe the murderer actually lived at the farm.
It is really weird.
I think
the animal thing.
I think it's an alpha move. He's killed them and then said, I'm now living in your gaff.
Yeah.
I'm feeding your animals, feeding your dog, and I'm just going to put on the fire as well. But on a serious note,
it is pretty wild.
Anybody that goes and does that, you would assume that they know the family really well, or they are genuinely psychotic.
Yeah, and you're not going to let the milk and eggs go to waste if you're a good man.
I think it's safe to say whoever this person was not a good person. So he would have let the milk and eggs go to waste.
It's debatable, but yeah. It took a whole 4 days for the bodies to be discovered. On April 1st, coffee sellers came to the house, but no one responded, and so the sellers decided to walk around to the backyard, but that didn't lead to anything. The family didn't show up to Sunday worship, and Kazilia, the granddaughter, didn't show up to school. A repairman named Albert Hoffner went to their farm on April 4th to fix the engine of the food chopper. And although no one turned up to greet him, after waiting for an hour, he decided to start his repair, which took him about 4 hours.
I think we got to put some respect on the repairman's name here. I'm sorry, but if someone comes to fix something here in the UK, and you don't come out and say, would you like a cup of tea?
They're fucking off.
They're heading back home.
And they're still getting paid.
Yeah, exactly. They'll still invoice you.
Yeah, you're still getting an invoice. He's turned up and he's got the job done.
Absolutely. Fair enough to him.
Bit sketchy though. Why don't you just go home?
Yeah, why do you
want to stay around for 4 hours?
Around 3:30 p.m., Lorenz, a friend of the family, sent his son and his stepson round to see if they could get a hold of the family. When they came back with no contact, the father then decided to go to the farm with 2 of his friends. When they entered the barn, they found the first 4 bodies and then went on to find the other 2 in the house. So it's a classic case of a gruesome family murder. Not a pretty sight whatsoever, but...
Even did it a maid, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
if anyone had a grudge against the family, did the maid really need to get caught in the crossfire? Could you not have just waited until she had finished her shift? But what's quite interesting is that if they were wealthy enough to have a maid, was this financially motivated?
That is a good point.
Or was this just a psychopath that just wanted to kill a family? Anyways, let's talk a little bit about the investigation. So, first of all, we have to remember that it's 1922. So, things back then maybe weren't quite as strict and as well run. And this is also a relatively small place, right? It's not a big, we're not talking like the city of London, Manchester, Birmingham, none of that, okay? One of the first mistakes, I suppose, was that the initial investigation actually ended up having loads of people there, and obviously that completely contaminates the scene, which is not what you want when you're trying to find the person that did it.
You don't want random people putting a grubby little fingerprints everywhere.
Not only that, but the autopsies were actually performed in the barn. Fine. What that did was that led to them concluding that they were actually killed with this wannabe pickaxe, which they call a mattock. The autopsies also showed that the granddaughter, Kazilia, had actually been alive for several hours after she'd been struck by this mattock. And they'd known that because she actually pulled out some of her hair, which is actually really grim if you think about it.
What they pulled out her hair, or she pulled out?
She pulled out her own hair.
Why?
I've heard about this particular thing in a few of these murder cases where people are found with the hair in their hand. I think it was also in the Tan family case, one of our very first ones. One of the kids was actually there with hair in their hand. Is it like a natural thing that kids do? I don't know. And quite frankly, I almost don't want to know.
Maybe it's one of those things we can't handle the pain. It's something to just pull on, that kind of thing. It's
not for me. Let's move on anyways, okay? There were a lot of things that pointed towards the fact that the murderer was actually someone that either would frequently visit the house, someone that knew the family well, because we'd spoken about it earlier, which was the fact that the animals were fed.
Yeah.
Right? The smoke had been going off inside the house. And then not only that, but the entire food supply, the bread was completely gone, things like that. So it's almost as if someone was actually living there after the fact of killing them. Or is someone just living in this house thinking, I'm not too sure where the family's gone. They were supposed to be here, but I'm supposed to be staying here anyways. I don't know. So surely they would have come forward and be like, yeah, I was staying in the house and I didn't know where they were.
I don't know. I think the murderer has actually just stayed in the house. It's weird. It's weird, but free bread.
Anyways, this is an unsolved case, but me and Chip are here to deep dive into the suspects and who we might reckon did this gruesome murder. Now, the police, they actually interviewed quite a lot of people. They arrested a few people as well, but ultimately, no murder was ever found. And the files were closed in 1955, but the last interrogation about this case took place in 1986. So that is a long time. You're talking almost 60 years on, and there was still an interrogation.
They might reopen the case once we're done with it.
Absolutely. Let's get into the suspects.
Our first suspect, Carl Gabriel. We haven't spoken about him yet. Now, he actually was Victoria's ex-husband.
Okay.
That was believed to have died in World War I.
Or did he die in World War I?
The reason that is believed is because his body was never actually recovered. But, you can't recover everybody in World War I. The rumor is that child that she gave birth to was with her own father, Andreas.
So you're telling me that this family is actually incestuous?
Yes, the father and the daughter were actually convicted of incest.
Oh my! So and this was against Victoria's will. Supposedly.
Yes, supposedly. Right. This is a rumor. This isn't flat out confirmed.
Okay, right, got you. But I mean, what is confirmed is that they were convicted. They were both convicted of incest, right?
Yeah, so
but
I mean,
the rumor is that whether it was against her will or not, we don't know.
Now, many people did claim that Karl wanted to go to Russia, and that there was a German-speaking Soviet officer who had claimed to be the murder of Hinterkaifeck, which many suspected to be, drumroll, Karl Gabriel.
Okay, so you're telling me, so he goes away, goes to Russia. He's now a Soviet officer, but he's German-speaking. There can't be that many of them, especially back then. So that's pretty rare. And so he was alive this whole time. He comes back. He finds this Joseph child, right? And he goes, "Well, that's not my child. So who has my wife been with?" Finds out. It turns out it was with her own dad.
Yep.
He loses it. Kills the family.
Kills the entire family and the maid.
Wow.
Yeah, so he doesn't come back on a revenge mission, but once he finds out, it's like
that kid's not his.
Boom, that's it.
It kicks off. One thing that kind of puts this particular theory into a bit of question is actually the guys that said this, this German-speaking Soviet officer, the men that said that have actually revised their statements.
Yeah.
So were they fibbing or were they covering up? Was Karl gonna come after them? I don't know.
The thing is, like with this Karl Gabriel situation, surely people, if this was the rumor, they would have actually gone to check if it's true. Is Karl Gabriel still alive? Could they not go ahead and pursue this avenue? Be like, oh,
is Karl alive?
Yeah, is he alive? Did he
find us? Let us know. Someone go and find him. Next suspect. Lorenz. Now, if we remember, Lorenz was the person that found the body. Now, listen to this. This gets pretty interesting, okay? Not only did we have Victoria's dad being Joseph's father, but there was talk about maybe it was actually Lorenz was the father of Joseph, because he actually was also at one point in a relationship with Victoria. But this is where it gets a little bit weird. Apparently, when those three men, so Lorenz and his two friends, discovered the bodies, Lorenz started acting quite suspiciously. All three of them broke the gates to get into the barn. Once it came to the front door of the house, Lorenz pulls out a key and just opens the house with his key, right? So and let's not forget, right, that earlier a house key had actually gone missing only a few days before these murders had happened. If he was actually in a relationship with Victoria at the time and he was Victoria's partner, then it would make a little bit of sense for him to have a key to the property.
Maybe he just stole it. If it's gone missing, is it not?
Yeah,
is there any chance
did he have the missing key? I don't know. It's also a pretty big coincidence. It was literally just a few days before the murder.
It's all lined up pretty well for me, if you ask me.
It's not
great.
Key
goes missing, this bloke turns up with a key, and they're all dead.
Look, Chip, it's not looking great for Lorenz right now.
Great.
But the one thing I do want to say is the fact that he actually sent his son and stepson to go and look at the place to begin with. So
is that just like a diversion though? Like, oh, it can't be us because we went round and found the bodies.
Or maybe he was hoping that his kids would find it, and so that would like detach him away from it a little bit. Local suspicion stayed for several years. People were pretty set on the fact that it was Lorenz, right? Not only that, but he actually took and won several civil claims for slander against people who described him as the murder of Hinterkaifeck.
I don't know.
You did better than me.
I don't know. What is it? It must be the German in me. There is no German in me.
Next up, Gump brothers.
Now, we have a man named Adolf Gump, and he was a suspect who was connected to a group called the Freikorps Oberland, which is actually an organization which ended up being Hitler's SA. Now, Adolf and his brother Anton in 1951 were investigated along with their sister Crescenza.
No.
These names.
Crescenzia.
Crescenzia?
Crescentia.
I don't know, but we tried. But either way, you're not going to like this. But on her deathbed...
No. What did she say, Chip?
Deathbed confession. She claimed that the two brothers had committed the murders.
Oh God! Stop! I've said from the beginning we are not taking deathbed confessions anymore.
We've got one, and I don't know.
Write this off now. The Gump brothers. I don't care if they did it or not.
Well,
we don't do deathbed.
It doesn't go too much further, so don't worry. Anton was put into police custody. Unfortunately, Adolf was actually dead at this point, so I guess
we didn't get any info out of Adolf.
Yeah,
right?
and the case was dismissed in 1954. There was nothing to tie either of them to the crime.
Yeah, because it was just a deathbed confession. It's waste of everybody's time. Good news, Chip. We finally have someone to help you out with your horrendous German.
Oh, I need it.
Yeah.
I need it big time.
Do you need someone to help you with your pronunciation?
I need
that.
I need absolutely everything.
Well, good news, because Babbel is here to the rescue. Now, they are here to help you learn new languages. Not only that, but more importantly for you, Chip, what they do is they also help you with your pronunciation and your accents, right? Because they have a speech recognition technology. That just sounds legit.
Yeah, it sounds serious.
Now, Babbel designs their courses so that you guys can have, you learn the real world conversations. We're not here for the silly phrases that you get taught in school. No, they'll actually teach you the useful stuff that you want to use in day-to-day conversation. Now, other language learning apps actually use AI, but Babbel have taken it a notch up. And what they do is their lessons were created by over 100 language experts. That means real people, okay? So you learn useful vocabulary and not meaningless phrases. It's great because Babbel is available online, so on your desktop, but also on your app. And so let's say you're at home, you do a little job on the desktop. Well, guess what? It'll automatically sync onto your app so that when you're on the tube or you're heading on a train, you're in a car, whatever it is, your progress is completely synced up. Babbel lets you choose from 14 different languages. That includes the likes of Spanish, French, Italian, and most importantly for this case, Chip, German. The good news is, here at the Fellas Mysteries, we only bring bargains, right? Now this one gives you 6 months free, right? A 6 month free subscription if you buy 6 months. Sounds pretty good to me. But you have to use the promo code MYSTERIES. That's on screen right now, MYSTERIES. So you go to uk.babbel.com/play and use the promo code MYSTERIES. That's uk.babbel.com/play. Code MYSTERIES. Our last suspect is the Bickler brothers. The former family maid, so the one that, suspected like a very creepy house, right? Suspected those two brothers, and again, one of the brothers is called Anton, actually worked on the harvest on the farm. So he would have known the entire premise, he would have known the whole thing really well. Now, he had actually repeatedly suggested, the old housemaid, that the family should be dead, right? They're a very wealthy family, and maybe he knew about the incest stuff. Maybe he knew about these things, who knows? But what was interesting was the dog that barked at literally everybody never barked at Anton, one of the brothers, okay? She believed that Anton, his brother, and a fella named George Siegel, all of them worked at this particular farm, knew about the family fortune. So they knew about the financial incentive, and that's it really. So for me, that's not enough, because even if they went and killed them, how were they supposed to ever get the money? It's not but
it's back in 1922, the way like me and you might be able to kill me and take my debit card, but that's it. But back then, I imagine
they had some riches in the house?
Maybe there's a safe with some riches in, a couple of pink slips, a deed, something like this.
If that was the case, I think that surely would have been reported, like there had been some stuff, if they'd known about it.
And you also don't need to kill a family of 5 and a maid. You could at least try and rob the house.
Yeah.
Do you really have to go to those lengths straight away?
There weren't CCTV back then, I don't think.
Yeah.
So, for me, okay, let's take a look at the main suspects. For me, I think it was Lorenz.
Yeah, I'm going with that.
Lorenz.
Yeah,
the guy,
Schlittenbauer.
How's he just pulling out a key and opening up the front door? But wait a second. But then, surely if someone was living in the house after they'd done it, his sons would have been like, where's my dad? He ain't been here in 2 or 3 days.
Brings me back to my point of where the son's in on it, man.
You reckon the sons are in on it?
It depends, because, we don't actually know how old the sons are here. So, like, if it's a family where, they're all grown up, it could definitely be things like that.
Maybe there was, like, some family beef.
Little bit of a criminal family.
Family beef, they were head to head and they said, right, you lot are just getting slaughtered.
Schlittenbauers went for them.
Or was it, which I think the most epic suspect, the car old Gabriel. He came back from what people believe for him to be dead from World War I, And he was there like, nah, you've had a kid with someone else. That is not sitting right with me.
It's a fun story. I mean, it's not
fun story.
I mean, it's not fun, but it's an interesting theory. But I feel like there had to be more proof that Carl Gabriel still existed.
Yeah.
Still was alive.
Let me just tell you about where we're at right now, okay? So books and films have actually been made on this particular case. Now, in 2007, 15 students from the police academy had actually examined the case using modern criminal investigation techniques. Mm-hmm. They obviously criticized the lack of professional forensics. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's too easy to... Of course, it was 1922. Things weren't the same as they are now. So that's pretty easy to do, right? And the main criticism was the fact that they just didn't take the fingerprints, okay? Yeah, fine. Fair criticism, to be honest. And they'd all independently, all 15 of those students, agreed on who they believed to be the main suspect and who they thought it was. But they never actually released that to the public.
Well, what's the point?
Where's the fun in that? Let us know, man.
Bloody hell.
Now, look. The farm's gone. The farm got demolished a year after those killings, and a monument now stands near where the farm used to be.
Wow.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Who do you think did it out of those suspects? It's between Carl or Lorenz for me.
Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again next Monday with another case. If you have any suggestions for any cases you want me and Detective Freezy here to cover, let us know in the comments. We're back 6 p.m. Thank you for watching.